Overwatch and speedrunning. Two words that aren't commonly found in the same sentence. At this point, you probably know how speedrunning works, as it's been seen in multiple video games spawning so many different categories. And while speedrunning is usually found in single-player games, not typically associated with multiplayer games like Overwatch, there are a few categories that you can run within the game. In fact, I've gotten a world record beforehand a couple of years ago. But today, we attempt a speedrun in Overwatch 2 that has never officially been done before, and the speedrun that I'm talking about is the FFA Hero Gauntlet. Now, how a gauntlet works is that you usually go through every single character. In the case of Overwatch, I want to win a game with every single hero, but that could easily be done in regular Overwatch play. I wanted to challenge myself, so I decided to go into Competitive Deathmatch, which is a game mode that only comes in Overwatch every 3 weeks out of the year, and win a game with all 37 heroes. So while there's only one simple rule to this speedrun, get in the top 4 of an FFA game, which technically counts as a win in Overwatch with all 37 heroes, this was still the most hardest challenge that I ever put myself through, but I was determined to achieve this feat. So the first hero up for the speedrun is gonna be D.va. Now luckily D.va isn't the most challenging tank hero to try to play FFA with, because she does have a large health pool with a majority of that is armor. But that doesn't make her an easy hero to try to play with, because she's still this giant pink blob that is so easy to hit from any single angle. See, while the enemy in typical Overwatch games spawn in front of you, in FFA, they spawn all around you. So the strat that I use for D.va is I try to shoot heroes from a long distance, see if they were low on health. Once I saw that they were low, I then flew to them with my defense matrix activated, use all of my DM to eat all their bullets, and then use my rockets to pummel them in the face to get the kill. And that plan seemed to be foolproof, because I was able to get the win fairly quickly with D.va on my second attempt, because it was still my warm-up games. Now the next hero in this gauntlet is Doomfist, and surprisingly, this was the first speed bump in this long road challenge that gave me trouble. And it's weird because one can only imagine why I had so much trouble with Doomfist. There goes my one kill with Doom. Yeah. One can only imagine. Doomfist was not only a reminder that I had to win with all 37 heroes, which means that there are some heroes that I just don't play with even in regular Overwatch games, one of which is Doomfist. Oh, the pain! But Doomfist also reminded me that a lot of the tanks are built differently in FFA, and not the good kind of diff, because Doomfist specifically had his health reduced to 300 health. And I know that might not seem like a lot, but just think about it. There are some DPS heroes that have 250 health. And when it comes to Doom, he has no armor, he has no shield, and he has somewhat decent DPS if you're able to manage it correctly. No Tracer! And I think it's very clear that I do not manage his DPS correctly. So after a couple of tries and a lot of screaming, I actually managed to go on a pretty good run where I got in second place, where a Genji just managed to wipe the floor and get a quick 20 kills in the game. Finally! Oh my god, this hero is terrible, bro. Junkrat is the next tank hero. Now, even though she does have 300 HP just like Doomfist, a helpful part about her hero kit is whenever you do axe a hero, it does grant you health because of the bleed effect, plus you're just doing DPS. So the strat that I did here was I tried to go for a knife stick, pull them close to me, and at that point I would just simply need to axe them and use 1 or 2 scattergun shots to finish them off. That will grant me a relatively quick kill, plus on top of that, health because of the bleed effect from the knife and the axe. And if I needed any extra health, well, I had my commanding shout. But after a quick game where I almost came out on top as the Junkrat, it was on to the next hero. Orisa is a hero that I'm fairly comfortable with. I originally got to GM with her in Overwatch 1, and when it came to her rework, that just made her even better because she has so much survivability with her spinning javelin and her fortify. And that's the secret strategy when it comes to Orisa and FFA, is just balancing those two abilities, but also trying to bully a hero by pushing them with your spinning javelin, and then javeling them and pinning them against the wall, doing extra damage, and then just shooting them in the head a couple of times to finish off the kill. And after doing that a bunch of times, I was able to get a top 3 finish in my very first game, allowing me to move on to the next hero. Ramattra was a hero that I had no idea how difficult he was gonna be, because this was his very first time being available in free-for-all. But a great part about Ramattra that helped me out tremendously in my very first game with him is that he has 2 different forms, his Omnic form and his Nemesis form. But you need to use both of these forms when fighting in FFA, because the strat here is that you need to put up your shield, throw your void accelerator to bring them down to the ground, and then you need to transform into your nemesis form, but then dance around the shield. Doing this will not only block so much damage from the enemy, but it would cause so much confusion, all the while your punches are landing almost every single time. Come on, don't let me do that to you, young man! This combo was so lethal that I actually managed to get my first place finish with Ramattra in about 6 minutes. Now, like I said, you only need a top 4 finish for it to count as a win, but it does help to get in the first place because you're not having to wait for somebody else to get first place, which means less time wasted when trying to complete this challenge, because this still is a speed run after all. But now we're on to what I think is my worst tank of all time, Reinhardt. This was a tank hero that I was dreading, not only because he's definitely not built for FFA, but I'm not built for Reinhardt to begin with. So knowing that I had a lot of odds stacked against me, I decided to pull out one of the first FFA specific strategies, and this strategy is known as the bully strategy. You see, in FFA, there's always going to be a few players that just aren't supposed to be in that specific lobby, and just like Darwinism, you're going to feed on the weaker players, and you're going to focus that specific player every single time you're playing as a hero that you're just not particularly good with. And you might think that's cheap, but in the case of me, when I'm trying to win with all 37 heroes and trying to go to bed on time, I'm sorry, Ashe, but I'm gonna bully you. And I somehow managed to get in the top 4 finish with Reinhardt in my very first game. Thank God. You could literally win an FFA game with Roadhog in your sleep. All you gotta do is shoot hook, shoot a squishy hero, and you get easy kills, and you have a mobile health pack. And in a game where mega health packs aren't that easily accessible, this hero grants you the ability to win in your very first game, which is exactly what happened with me. Now, Sigma is gonna have the exact same strategy as Ramattra, where if you see an enemy, you're gonna throw your shield, and then you're gonna dance around that shield. And depending on what abilities the enemy uses, like a Reaper Waveform, after he uses that ability, that's when you're gonna use your rock, because you don't want to waste that very powerful ability. And when doing this strategy, I almost got in the first place finish, but I was only able to take second place, but that still counts as a win. Now, Winston is a hero that is not built for FFA, mainly because of the heroes that are built for FFA, that being Roadhog and Reaper. Your bubble is going to get disintegrated, and you're going to get disintegrated if those heroes are in your game. But I must have gotten lucky with the RNG in this run, because in my game with Winston, I got a bunch of Genjis where I was actually able to get a first place finish. Who would have thought? Now, Hammond, just like Reinhardt, is a hero that I am just not good with. Dude, this is gonna be awful. Can you tell? So this was the first time that I truly got blessed by the RNG gods with the lobby that I got, not because of the heroes that were picked like with Winston, but rather the players that I was being faced off against. See, something that you might have figured out is that while yes, you do need to get in the top 4, you also just need somebody to get 20 kills, because that ends the game. Even if you're only at 2 kills, if you're in the top 4, that counts. And that's exactly what happened here, where I only scrounged up 9 measly kills, got in a 3-way tie for 3rd, 4th, and 5th place with 3 other players, but because the Torbjorn popped off and got 20 kills so quick, wherever we were at the time of him getting 20 kills, that's where we finish. And I just so happened to finish in the top 4 with my 9 kills. And while I don't like to finish under double digits, as long as I get in the top 4, I win the game. And I forgot to mention what my rank was, because while this is competitive, I actually managed to climb from Plat 4, where I originally placed, to Plat 3. And considering that top 500 or top 300 is Diamond 5 and above, I would say that's pretty good. That meant the only tank left to play with was Zarya. But when I say that this hero would cause so much torture if you decide to speedrun the same category, that this almost made me quit the run. Because not only is this hero only at 325 HP, but one of her abilities is completely useless. She cannot bubble an ally because you have no allies in this game mode. You see, one thing about Overwatch players is that they're not as dumb as you might think they are. Sometimes they are, but when they see you bubble yourself, they're not gonna shoot you. And that means you're not gonna get a lot of charge with Zarya, which means you're not gonna get a lot of kills with Zarya. And that's exactly what happened to me, because it took me like about 5 tries to try to win with this hero. And I barely squeaked out a 4th place finish, but a win's a win, and that meant the tank category of heroes was finally done. Now, the first DPS hero in this gauntlet run is Ashe, and the strategy I implemented for this hero is the one-shot TNT combo. And as the name suggested, you're gonna one-shot a hero. Once you see that, you're gonna shoot your TNT, blow it up, and you're gonna walk away without looking at them, because cool guys don't look at explosions, or cool cowgirls. Bastion's the next hero, but this was the first time in this run that I was truly getting tilted by this run because, well, one, Bastion's not built for FFA, and second of all, I've already been playing Overwatch for 3 hours at this point, and even playing Overwatch for an hour can set a man mad. So, unfortunately, it took me a couple of tries with Bastion because I couldn't figure out that I should have just transformed into my turret mode around the corner after people fight and then shoot them, rather than transforming into my turret in front of them, hoping that they wouldn't shoot me. Newsflash, they did, but I was able to squeak out a top 4 finish. Alright, Cassidy's up. Here is the strategy that you gotta do. Just like Ashe, you gotta shoot them in the head once, and assuming they don't have like a self-healing ability or a wraith form, you're gonna throw your mag grenade to stick to them, and then you're gonna look away and watch the kills just pile on. And that's all you gotta do every single time. Throw your pride out the window because you're gonna abuse the mag grenade. Now, Echo's a hero that has a pretty simple combo. You throw your sticky bombs, they stick, you shoot them in the head once, that usually brings them down to half health, and then you beat them, and boom, you get a kill. Yeah, I did not do that in competitive FFA. I just use brute force, and I hope and pray that my sticky bombs stick, and I hope and prayed even harder that I got the kill. And you can see that I got about 19 deaths, but I was able to get 16 kills, which gave me enough kills to get a 4th place finish. I somehow tied with the 5th place, but hey, I got in that top 4, baby. Genji's a hero that you can master only one of 2 ways, either pouring all of your hours of Overwatch into this single hero, or watching every single One Piece episode, including fillers. Now, both of those things I've not done. That meant I was in Struggle City with Genji, but one thing that I can suggest, and I don't know if this is actually a good strategy, but whenever you get an assist with Genji, even though it is from an enemy, it still resets your dash. So if I can give any advice when it comes to Genji, even though I'm definitely not qualified, I would say maybe initiate a fight with your dash every time, because even if you don't get the kill, it'll reset your dash so that hopefully you can get another kill with the dash. That's what I did, which allowed me to get in the 4th place, but hey, a win's a win. Hanzo's an RNG hero, but you're always gonna get a high roll with this hero. He is so easy to get kills with because you're able to spam with Storm Arrow and get random headshots. That is literally the strategy with Hanzo. But one thing that I want to point out in this run is that there's gonna be a little bit of an issue. You see, in speedrun history, there's always gonna be a nemesis for a player, whether it's a character or a specific map, or in my case, Shadow. And no, I'm not talking about Shadow the Hedgehog. I'm talking about this sniping Widow Shadow. Shadow's gonna come up numerous times and ruin my run almost every single time. But we cannot stress about Shadow right now because we gotta move on to Junkrat. Spam is the name of the game with Junkrat. I mean, surprise, surprise. That's how you play him in regular Overwatch games. That's how you're gonna play him in competitive deathmatch. But you gotta play in very tight-knit areas because the spam's not gonna work if you're launching grenades from halfway across the map. If you're in a tight area, the grenades will bounce, hopefully hit an enemy, and at that point, once they hit, you just gotta throw your C4, explode, and you should be able to get a quick win with Junkrat. I mean, Junkrat's a pretty good FFA hero, I would say. Now, the next hero is Mei, and being that I am a Mei main, this should be easy peasy lemon squeezy. You would think, but it took me about 3 or 4 tries to get in the top 4 with Mei. It was at this point that the run was starting to get to me mentally. It was bogging me down. It was taking me away from my element. A Mei main's element to win 1v1s. That's what I do best, but no, I struggled with her, and I don't know why. But while you might think the heroes are the biggest challenge, I'd argue it was actually the time of day that I decided to play, because I started this run at 7 p.m. You notice that we're about 4 hours in. It's about midnight. That means there's not a lot of players playing competitive deathmatch on a Friday night. Surprisingly, that means that I'm playing against Grand Master and top 500 players. That was the biggest struggle with this run, but we had to continue. Pharah was surprisingly an easy hero to play with, especially on Petra. All I really had to do was kind of stay on the outskirts because my damage was going to do the same from 5 meters or 500 meters, and whenever I saw 5 breakouts, I always went there because they usually weren't going to be playing hit scan and taking me out. I still did, but hey, I managed to get in the top 2 and finish the game off with Pharah. You should be able to win a game with Reaper with your eyes closed. There is literally no strategy here that could help you out more than just playing. That's all you got. Just play the game as Reaper, and you'll get at least a first place finish. At least.
Let's go! That's what you get for throwing your immortality field!
Sojourn's another obvious here where if you're good with Sojourn, you're going to be good in FFA with her, but a strat here is that I would build up my railgun on the tanks and then use it on the squishy heroes. Never try to waste your railgun shots on the tank because you should be able just to farm them and finish them off with your primary and then use your railgun to finish off a squishy hero. But even though that strat is helpful, you still need to be good with Sojourn, which I am not, and I only got in the top 4 with her. Soldier's a fairly easy hero to win with in FFA because you do have a mobile health pack, but in this game specifically, I just had a player just go on a massive tear with Pharah, and you think being a soldier man that I should be able to take out this Pharah, but she just managed to take out everybody else with Pharah, mainly because they were playing heroes like Reaper and whatnot, but hey, still finished in the top 4. Sombra's a hero that I am terrible with both in regular play and in FFA, but the top 4 finish strat is applied here because the first place player just went on a massive raid and got 20 kills. A lot of them came from me, but I'm not feeding them kills. I'm trying. I'm just naturally bad, but that helped me out here because I managed to get a second place finish with Sombra. Symmetra, unsurprisingly, was very difficult. She is not FFA built. She is probably one of the worst FFA heroes because she has no defense. She doesn't have a lot of fast DPS. So the strat here is you just gotta pick a spot, one specific spot, and nest and camp there. Now, you can't be moving around the map. You always gotta go back to that spot because what this is gonna do is get in the head of your enemies. It's gonna annoy them, and my spot was in the trampoline of Petra. Every single time they died by those turrets, they would just want to go and kill me as Symmetra because they know that I shouldn't be killing them, and that helped me get a top 4 finish with Symmetra after like 3 or 4 tries with this hero. It's starting to get to me even more and more after every passing hero. And that tilt and frustration definitely showed with Torbjorn, because I was not thinking when it came to this hero. I was just running and gunning, getting in the face of every single hero, and that is not good when it comes to Torbjorn because he has such an easy hitbox. Even though it is smaller, it's so compacted that more than likely they're gonna get a headshot on me. So if I was thinking clearly, what I would do is just hang out in the back with my turret and have my turret do most of the work. If I'm staying alive, that means my turret is probably going to be staying alive, which means that it could get a lucky few kills on heroes that are very, very low. Hunt for health packs. I didn't do that. I just pummeled them with my rivet gun, got in the top 2, and moved on to the next hero. Tracer's a great FFA hero and is somebody that I played with a lot when it came to console FFA, so I was fairly comfortable with her. But even though I'm good with Tracer, you want to know who's even better than me? Shadow on Widowmaker, and oh, guess who's in my game? Shadow playing Widowmaker. Those Widow nerfs cannot come any faster. At this point, it was 2 in the morning. If I queued up right after I finished a game of FFA, I was gonna get the exact same people, including Shadow. That meant that I had either nut up or shut up. So after getting a top 2 finish, it was my time. It was my time to get in a 1v1 with Shadow with Widowmaker to prove who was the better sniper, and he wasn't in my game because I played a couple of games with Widowmaker and I just had to avoid him because he was scary and better than me.
No, dude, that was my 1 kill that I had.
Why, you might think I'm stupid for doing that because it's sacrificed time. I'd rather just wait and try to get past this hero because I can't do this anymore, man. At this point, I just want to get to support heroes. One thing that I would suggest with Widowmaker is, first of all, be good. That can really help, but also don't try to, this might sound counterproductive, but don't aim for the head, but rather just focus on getting body shots, because even if you get a headshot, great, you got a kill, but if you get a body shot, it'll do a lot of damage and you can finish them off with your AR. Luckily, I got a quick few kills at the beginning, and I also had somebody implemented the top 4 strat where they just went on a tear, got 20 kills fairly quickly, which meant my 12 kills got me a top 2 finish. That meant it was on to the worst category of heroes for FFA, Support heroes. The first hero up is Ana, and something unique about her is that they reworked Ana for FFA, where if you use your ultimate, it actually nano boosts yourself as Ana. Did that help me? Not really, but hey, help is help at this point. But another great thing about Ana is that it only takes 3 shots to secure a kill on a squishy, and I took full advantage of that. Plus, on top of that, the anti-grenade also helped determine if a hero only needed 1 or 2 shots, and when it came to Ana on this run, maybe I just got lucky, but I was able to get a top 4 finish, which meant I was able to get off of Ana very quickly and on to the next support hero. Baptiste is probably the easiest support hero to try to win in FFA, all because of Immortality Field. And that's what you gotta do. You just gotta cheese Immortality Field. Throw it down whenever you initiate a fight because it's gonna do one of 2 things. Either A, keep you up even if you're gonna be low on health, which gives you enough time to get that kill, unless you're bad, or B, it's gonna distract the enemy because they're gonna be shooting your Immortality Field, which gives you enough time to secure that kill. And that's what I did with Baptiste every single time, getting a top 3 finish, moving on to the next support hero. I got very lucky with Brigitte because I got another top 4 treatment where as long as I'm in the top 4 by the time first place gets 20 kills, I still win the game. Now, I still managed to get a couple of kills with Brigitte, but when it comes to Brigitte, while she is built for 1v1s, she's just not the same hero that she was in Overwatch 1. If you combo your shield with your flail, with your whip, you can get easy kills, but I am just not able to manage my cooldowns properly with Brigitte, but it doesn't matter because as long as I'm in the top 4, I win, and hey, I got in the top 4. Well, Kiriko is definitely one of the more easy supporters to try to win with. I was playing FFA for 7 hours at this point. I was tired mentally, physically, emotionally, so I was only able to manage to get a top 4 finish after cheesing with her cleanse. Every time I initiated a fight, I always threw my Zuzu, which meant that the enemy team couldn't kill me for a short window of time, which gave me just enough time to get either 1 or 2 headshots, which always granted me the kill. And that's what I did every single time to get the top 4. But in every speedrun, there is always one point that either makes or kills the run, and we have gotten to this point in that run. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to you the thing that's gonna kill your run every single time. Lifeweaver. You would think it would be Mercy that would kill runs, but no. Lifeweaver not only is not built for FFA, but he's not built for Overwatch in general. Lifeweaver is so painstakingly terrible, and you definitely feel that in FFA. His DPS is very lackluster, his healing's completely useless, his pedal platform, I still haven't really figured out how it could be used properly in FFA, but his pull. You wanna know what his pull did? Nothing! He can't pull anybody, so he's useless with his pull and his leap or his little hop and a skip. And don't even get me started with his tree of life that just heals so slow. It took me 6 or 7 tries just to even get to 7th place, but I got lucky with this single game on SHA2GR where I had every single strategy work in my favor. The first strat that I implemented, the bully strategy, because surprisingly, I had another Lifeweaver in my game for some reason. Somebody wanted to torch themselves just like me. The other strat is the top 4 strategy where somebody just went on a complete tear with Echo, specifically Anahu. I want to thank Anahu for completely rolling all of us in this game to get me in the top 4. But there was one other strategy that I'm not very proud of that I implemented, but I just had to use, and that was the AFK strategy. For whatever reason, there was a Torbjorn in this game that was just throwing their turret every single time, which meant that they were not going to be kicked out of the game because it was considered activity. So every time I found that Torbjorn, I killed him. And you might think that that was a cheap way to get 6 kills, but hey, somebody else was going to be killing that Torbjorn, meaning that they were going to get ahead of me, so why not take that kill from somebody else and use it as a time to try to just get past this godforsaken hero? And to my surprise, I managed to get in the top 4 with a measly 6 kills, where Anahu finished this game with 20 kills in under 3 minutes. Anahu, I want to thank you because you are the MVP of this run. I couldn't have done it without you.
Freaking did it! Oh my god, we're done with Lifeweaver!
That meant there were only 4 support heroes left, and Lucio was up next. And this is a great FFA hero if you're not only good with Lucio and wall riding, but if you learn to be patient, because you have to be a vulture. You have to come in after a teamfight finishes and be the hero that gets the scraps. And while I'm not a patient person, I was able just to spam the wall ride, get in people's faces, and get a few amount of kills to get a top 4 finish, which meant it was on to another run-killing hero. This is the part of the speedrun that you probably thought was gonna be the hardest, but no, that was definitely Lifeweaver. But Mercy is probably the second hardest hero to do well with in FFA. You see, something that top 500 Mercy players use to their advantage is their Guardian Angel is flying back and forth and rubber banding past heroes. But the thing is though, in FFA, you have no allies to fly to, so you're only left with your pistol and a dream.
No! Run!
So it took me a couple of tries to try to figure out what was the best strategy with Mercy. And the best strategy is just to try to take full advantage of your ultimate time, because you have unlimited bullets. You're able to actually fly, not to anybody, but you're able to float and fly, which makes it a lot harder. And you also have self-healing activated for the whole entire time. But I went on a run where I was able to secure a couple of clutch kills, admittedly from my melee, because you gotta Glock and lock some kids as Mercy, where I was able to only get 13 kills, but it was just enough to get a top 4 finish, which meant that the hard part about this run was finally over. There was only 2 more heroes to play, and actually, I was getting a new rank after this.
We'll take it!
It doesn't matter, because that meant there was only 2 more heroes left, and Moira was gonna be a complete walk in the park, because all you gotta do is snipe kids with your sucky suck. Whenever I heard team fights, I went to that team fight, I threw my orb, and because my damage is so consistent, even if they were left with 2 health, I was usually always the hero to finish off that hero, especially if there was a hero like a Cassidy shooting, because of the time in between the bullets. Like, Moira truly is the easiest support hero to win in FFA, to the point where I managed to get in first place even after 8.5 hours of playing FFA, which meant that there was only 1 more hero to win with. Moira was just simply a warm-up for Zenyatta's victory lap, because he is not a hard hero to try to win with in FFA. The Discord Orb is lethal, and while most heroes are about 3/4 of a health, all you need is about 1 headshot and a kick to be able to finish off these heroes. And maybe it was the adrenaline kicking in, but I somehow managed to get a first place finish with Zenyatta, ending this run at an 8-hour and 53-minute time, marking this as the first official speed run of the Overwatch 2 Hero Gauntlet.
Let's go! Sub 9!
This was the hardest challenge that I had to put myself through, because I had so many bumps in the road, not only with heroes that I don't really play with, but also the players that were in the game that were clearly better than me, and just the struggle of having to play late into the night. That was the Overwatch Hero Gauntlet, probably one of the stupidest challenges that I ever put myself through, but one that I'm finally happy to get done. And if you decide to do this challenge, let me know how it goes, and if you lose your sanity just like how I did. But I love you guys. Thank you guys for watching. More Overwatch 2 videos to come, and bye.
That was the stupidest challenge ever, dude.